Hey everybody, this is Dr. Rachel with Better Balance Psychology, and I am incredibly excited to have my guest today. This is Morgan. She's a personal trainer with Titanium Performance, which is actually located in Northeast Minneapolis. But one of the coolest things that I learned from connecting with Morgan is that she also offers virtual personal training. So whether you want to do that one-on-one, individually, or group, she can meet you wherever you are in your house, kind of like my therapy practice can. And I just think that is so unique and really cool. She is incredibly passionate about educating individuals, so the public, myself included, when we connected, about the positivity and the positives of strength training, as far as obviously helping your physical body, but also your mental, I don't know, mental processes, emotional wellness, all of that. And like, she blew my mind when I connected with her that I had to ask her to come in and bring you on. So I'm excited because we're going to talk about all things stress, all things personal training, how does stress affect the body, how does personal training and or strength training specifically offset some of that stress in our body, and then our mental and emotional wellness as well. So I'm so excited. Welcome,
Me too.
Morgan.
Thanks so much for having me. I'm so excited. And like you said, we connected so well. So it's exciting to be able to educate, and both of us are passionate about that.
Oh my gosh, yeah, definitely. And our niches, if you will, overlap really
Yeah.
well. So that's
Yeah.
just perfect. And so like let's just jump in, okay?
Yeah.
So 2020 and now kind of 2021 has significantly skyrocketed stress levels. Not like we Americans needed a ton of help with that, but like
Right.
that took it through the roof. How does stress in your line of work, I'm guessing that you see people coming in seeking personal training or other exercise regimens because they're stressed, right? And wanting to
Yeah.
use exercise as a way to alleviate some of that stress. But let's start from the beginning. How does the stress actually affect our body?
Yeah. So when you experience stress, your cortisol hormone shoots up. And when your body kind of goes into that mode, it's in that fight or flight kind of mode and causes everything to go on alert. So a lot of people will present with symptoms like physical symptoms of tightness. Usually everyone comes to me saying, like, I carry all of my stress in my neck and my
Oh,
shoulders. And I mean, basically everyone does feel that when you get stressed, you just tighten up and your neck is really sensitive. And so you feel it there. But you can also feel physical symptoms, in if you have like old injuries or any like health conditions
oh,
that cause physical, symptoms, those would maybe flare up. So say you have an old knee injury or, some arthritis, you might feel really tender because that inflammation is high. You might also not be sleeping as well or feeling like you're in control of your eating. Different things like that can kind of just express these physical symptoms where you don't feel like you can take care of yourself the way you want to. And so, I've gotten a lot of people in the last year and a half coming to me and being like, I need something to get back to being myself. And like that's what I'm really passionate about is like, kind of dropping all of the expectations of what exercise should be and just like finding something that can be for you and kind of meet you where you're at and then build off of that.
wow. I mean, I gotta tell you that, sorry to the rest of the personal training world, that sounds really refreshing, I think,
Yeah.
at least to me, as far as like that very individualized approach, but also like you're going to work with me on what I even could do, not for the next 2 weeks or month, but like a lifelong sustainable, because like I know for myself, and I'm sure a lot of your clients come to you like, I've tried this, I've tried that. I get off the bandwagon or whatever after a month or 3 months or whatever. And it's like, it's just too much. And so I think either people A, don't know how to do it, or B, are doing too much, and then it's just not sustainable. And it sounds like you offer kind of a different approach to that.
Yeah. So a lot of programs out there that are designed to like fit everyone actually don't work for anyone. And so
Oh, that's fun. They probably
that's
don't want
just,
that tagline, right?
yeah. But I mean, that's the reality because they're not asking you, how do you feel today? Or where are you starting? They don't take any of that really into consideration. And so as someone who works, when I'm working with someone, I'm one-on-one and groups are usually 2 to 3 people. So we keep it really
Oh,
intimate. And then I can ask you, Rachel, how are you feeling today? And you can say, oh, I slept funny, my back is sore, I'm feeling really stressed. So I'm feeling, my neck and shoulders. And then, I always bring some direction to my training sessions and what we're going to work on and working towards that person's individual goals, but also just understanding how the human body works. You can kind of adapt on the fly for that person so that yes, we're working towards an overall goal, but when you show up, you just give your best for that day. And every time you go to the gym, you're not going to have your best day the next time you go every time. Progress in exercise is the overall line should trend up, but some days you're not going to sleep well and things are going to come up in your life. Like that's just life. But if you show up and can give what you have for that day, it makes it more sustainable. So the strength training approach that we use is strength training 1 to 2 days a week, and then consulting you, if you want to, also go walking or do yoga or play golf or whatever you like to do, kind of fitting that in. So it's not oh, I have to go to the gym for an hour again today and do this things. Like if all you have in you today is a 5-minute walk, then do that. And then give your body that rest that it needs. So then the next day you can show up and, do your strength training session to your max. Or maybe it's a strength training day, but you're like, I didn't sleep well. So I'm just going to do the minimum amount to get my body feeling good and then move on with my day. And doing that approach will allow you to keep going. Because you mentioned, people will start and they'll
burn out on it.
burn out because they have to.
Yeah.
And if you change that mindset to like, okay, I get to move my body today, what is it that I can do, and turn it back to what do I need? And that's what people don't ask themselves when they exercise. They turn outward. So yes, they're coming to me, but then I turn it back. Like, how do you feel? How does this injury feel? How, last time you didn't sleep well, have you been sleeping better? Can we increase this? And asking those questions to get people to turn back inward, and then, we work together. So I always say, I'm the expert in exercise. You're the expert in your body. Together we can find a plan
Yes.
that works for you.
Seriously, I just like if I had pom poms, I'd be like, yes. Like I'm just hearing all sorts of great things. Like there's a lot of obviously that overlaps in my world as far as like giving yourself permission. Your best is going to look different from day to day, but still just do the best that you can and
Yeah.
take away the have tos and that pressure, because then you are going to burn out on it and just meet yourself. Oh my gosh, I'm so excited. Like I don't think I have ever met somebody who is in the strength and training and exercise world who kind of has a similar sentiment. And so
Yeah.
I really meant it earlier when I said that it feels refreshing. So thank you for that. I guess I think the world
Yeah.
needs more Morgans in it. So
Yeah. I'm trying my
yeah.
best. Put all this out there.
Well, so I guess I have one specific question. Like, exercise is such a really, it's a broad umbrella, right? It's a big
Yeah.
field. It probably you know that better than I do. What you've chosen to niche down into like strength training.
Yeah.
I guess why strength training? And then also what does strength training specifically offer to help reduce stress?
Yeah. So when you look at the research of all different modalities of exercise, strength training is like the number one bang for your buck. Like if you're going to pick one modality of exercise, the list of benefits of strength training just are a lot longer if you're going to pick one thing. So, if you're strength training safely and properly, strength training should be used to prevent injury. It
Mhm.
shouldn't be getting hurt if you're weightlifting. You're increasing different health measures like bone density. Obviously, you're increasing muscle. The research shows improvements in blood pressure, cholesterol, lung capacity, like all these things that, medically you go to your doctor and they're like, oh, these numbers are off. You need to do something. So if you're going to pick one thing, and then also if you're, moving and doing exercises properly, you should also increase range of motion because you should be moving through your full range. And if you do that over time, that can increase. So, and then if you're increasing slowly over time, you're increasing the intensity that you're working at or that level of effort. You're also challenging your cardiovascular system. So,
Hmm.
you're putting that stress on your heart in a good way. Where if you look at, cardio exercises are great, but like running can be really hard on your knees. It burns fat tissue, but it also burns muscle and organ tissue. So that's why you see marathon runners, getting hurt or having heart attacks or things like that. There's a lot more risk factors in some of those other modalities, which is if you like running, if you like those other things, they're totally fine to do, but I never label things as good or bad. Everything's on a scale and you pick, do the benefits outweigh the drawbacks for you? And that's how you choose what you do. But for almost every person out there, strength training can fit into their life. It just has to be adapted to them. Um, and that's where like also then when it comes back to stress, it can be adapted for you. So if you're really stressed about work or, whatever the stressor is, maybe it is a physical stressor, maybe you have an injury, working around and through that injury with a professional who knows how can also be really motivating because then it doesn't feel like it's holding you back anymore from doing the things you want to do. Or it's I work too much, I put all my effort into my kids, all these things that also stress people out. Carving out, like I said, that time for yourself each week
Mhm.
to just give back to yourself and put back into yourself what you're putting into other people is kind of that the second part of your question there is how that then strength training can be a stress relief for people.
Excuse me, definitely. I mean, I know when I talk to my clients a lot, so a lot of folks deem exercise, whether that's cardio or strength or yoga, whatever it is, an activity of self care for themselves, right?
Yeah.
And not everybody views it that way, and that's totally fine. Um, but the way you just described it, and for those that do feel that it is a component of self care, is absolutely going to be that way to offset some of the stress. Now, for those people who don't identify it already as part of their self care, it might be just that person doesn't feel that it is part of their self care. Hopefully, they have other activities that they're engaging in. But part of me wonders, and as an identified female, like when I hear strength training, I'm kind of like, ugh, because
Yeah.
um, I mean, so back when, I mean, gyms are opening up again, but back when they were open, it was like those were where all the meatheads were, right? And like all these machines. And it's like, first of all, I don't even know how to use them. Second of all, I
Hmm.
feel really intimidated to do them. And then it was just, I probably would have injured myself without instruction.
Right.
But now being at home too, it's like if people don't have an at-home gym, how are they supposed to engage with you virtually, I guess? Like, do you do body weight work?
Yeah, so great question. When I work virtually with people, in the initial introductory, so I give a free introductory session to all new clients, so that and I don't just do it as a way for me to reach out to people, but also I need to kind of get an idea of where people are at
Mm,
and see and be able to talk with them and how I can consult them. So that first session, we talk about them and I ask very open-ended questions rather than like a fill out this sheet and tell me about yourself kind of thing.
sure. And then
Another,
not actually look at the sheet.
yeah, like another personal trainer pet peeve of mine. So, I just have an open conversation with people and like, what are your goals? What's held you back? And have that conversation. And then also like what equipment do you have at home? Do you have nothing? And how invested are you? Because I can make a body weight workout and that's okay. But I do usually recommend a few things, and I'm a very economical person. So I like to, again, meet people where they're at. Like if you're just starting and you're not sure this is something you want to do, here's like $30 worth of equipment that can
Oh,
work,
nice.
to get you started. And then if we feel like, okay, yes, this is something I'm really enjoying, I want to keep going. I didn't offer virtual training before the pandemic, so I kind
Sure.
of learned how to make it work too. And people were like, hey, I need to do something. I have these 5-pound weights and this band my physical therapist gave me when I hurt my knee 3 years ago. You know?
For sure.
And
Make
so
something
like,
work, Morgan.
yeah, yeah. So it's just, meeting people where they're at and also in that capacity too. And then having the open conversation of if this is something, then you see yourself keep going. I've started people who've had nothing, and I have a client with like a sweet home gym in her basement. And I feel like I can give them both, the same type of instruction. I just get more variety, and that I'm open and honest about that.
Excellent.
What do you want
Excellent.
this to be? And most people just slowly keep acquiring things over time because it comes back to that sustainability. They're like, wow, this is something I can do. And people feel, you mentioned, going to the gym, and like, identified females don't feel always
Yeah.
that they want to be by the meatheads in the gym. And so our physical location, it's a very small community, making you feel good. There's like no mirrors. We're trying to make it a positive place. And also, in our one-on-one sessions virtually or small group, just the empowerment you get from feeling strong and being in control of
Mhm.
your body, and showing that you can do hard things and push yourself that right amount. And that's where the magic really is like, I have clients who like, oh, I, went down in my basement and picked up this 50-pound bag of dog food that I always made my husband carry up for me. Or I got my kayak on my roof rack by myself for the first time ever. Like that's things that women
Awesome.
have told me that they're like, I never did that before. So it's letting you do things that you couldn't do or maybe wanted to, but never could.
And I'm gonna pull out just because it's my field overlapping with yours, but like the data, the experiential data of I can do hard things. I think it's easier to see that from a physical like surrounding standpoint. But I
Yeah.
think I'm going to pull that nugget out as far as how we can easily take that and translate it into our emotional and mental health hard things, right?
Oh, yeah.
And I think, obviously I'm biased, but like we really struggle with that because it's really hard. It's
Mhm.
not tangible. You can't really see it very well.
Right.
But anyway, there's, I think, would be another overlap for how the strength training can offset some of the stressors as well. Because if you're going into the stressor being like, I can do hard things, you're going to have a totally different experience with that stressor than you otherwise would have.
Oh, totally. And you talk about, this is like a whole another deep conversation we can
For sure.
time, but like,
It'll come back.
I've had I've had clients who've struggled with like anxiety and depression, and especially seasonal depression here in the Midwest. And people telling me, strength training through the winter, I felt better than I ever have because I was doing something for myself, and it proved like I could do that. And then that helped me try other things to kind of get through the winter. And it wasn't just getting through, but like signing up for a class that I could, find my passion, or, finding other things that could help them through those really hard seasons. And that is just like so meaningful that seeing them once or twice a week empowered them in other areas of their life.
For sure. For sure. Definitely. Well, I want to thank you so very much for spending a little bit of time with me, educating my audience about, the benefits of strength training, your unique approach to strength training, and just how it can be in the right context when given enough education and support, it can really be a way to offset some of the stress instead of viewed as something that is an additional stressor or overwhelm. So just thank you so much for spending time. Is there anything you want to add quickly before we go?
No, I just think that I want to say thank you so much for having me because part of my mission is just educating people that there is a way for them to strength train and feel that empowerment that I've already seen in so many people. And so just yeah, thanks for helping me share that in that mission and education and hopefully empowering someone to try something new.
Oh, definitely, yeah. So again, this is Morgan. She works with Titanium Performance in Northeast Minneapolis, but again, also offers free consults for virtual, individual, or group training. I will drop her info along with this recording as well, so you can check her out and hopefully take her up on something brand new. But otherwise, till next time.
All right.